Hello.
Hey, salam alaikum, everyone. How are you doing, Ruann. Sorry, Ruann. How are you?
It's okay. It's my childhood nickname. I'm good. Assalamualaikum, everyone.
Good, good. Well, we want to welcome everybody to Across the Border. Of course, you got a chance to look at that incredible video in the very beginning, which pretty much gives a quick snapshot of all the incredible efforts around the world that Penny Appeal Canada has been benefiting and touching lives, not only within our own place of residency, but also obviously internationally as well. And also get a chance to see how the beneficiaries as well are participating in some of the initiatives and programs that we have implemented around the world. So we just want to thank everyone who is from the USA to Canada, from Halifax to California, from BC to whatever's on the other side. Point is, we're just very happy to be here today. So, Ruann, maybe you could just quickly tell everyone your title and your position at Penny Appeal USA.
Yeah, perfect. So, assalamualaikum and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining another session of our Across the Border series. I am currently the National Volunteer Coordinator at Penny Appeal USA. So yeah, I take charge of all things volunteer. Do you want to go in deep, or do you want to kind of talk about your?
No, I could jump in as well too. So my name is Mark Strong. I'm the National Community Engagement Ambassador for Penny Appeal Canada. That means that I'm pretty much the person who connects different community initiatives and community departments. Like, let's say, for example, the Toronto District School Board area or different school boards across Canada, connect them with the organization. Even when it comes to media, helping in concerns of fundraising and whatnot, just weaving my way throughout the Penny Appeal organization and charity group to make sure that the community is also connected in different ways. And this is a perfect also way to connect as well through social media, through sitting down and talking as well too. I want to say right off the bat as well too, I think Ruann is probably one of the coolest people that I've spoken to on a live, right? I'm not just saying that because we're here live together. I'm just saying, like, you guys, if you know what the behind the scenes talk was like, we're like, okay, so let's get at it. We can't wait to do this. And we got a bit of a game plan. So, but you'll find out about that later. But volunteer wise, just real quick, since you're the volunteer coordinator, did you start volunteering at Penny Appeal Canada, or have you just done volunteer initiatives like previously to this?
Yeah, so I know like a major question that always comes up is like, how did you get involved in the nonprofit sector in general? And it's so funny because my journey to becoming the National Volunteer Coordinator started off as me becoming a volunteer at Penny Appeal USA.
Nice.
So I had just transferred into Charlotte University. I live in North Carolina. And I was just looking to volunteer. I've always known that I've had this love and passion for service. And that was the year Penny Appeal USA had just launched, which was in 2016. And they were doing their first kind of big, huge event, the Digital Divide, which was to equip, Title I schools with the right technology and resources they need to kind of excel in their studies. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm down for this. It's different. It's new. It's not, it's just something that I've never really seen before. And so I began my journey as volunteering. We started a local chapter in Charlotte as college students. And then, before you know it, Penny Appeal USA was expanding their staff. And I applied for the development officer position at the time. And so, alhamdulillah, I was able to, start off as a contractor, then part-time, then full-time, and then work my way up to this leadership position. But it's really been a journey. Like, I'm so honored, and it's just so humbling for me too, because, a lot of times when you're interacting with volunteers, like I was blessed enough to have leaders like Osama and past leaderships, like Ahmed Youssef, shout out to him, who really helped guide us and, lead us into this managerial position that I now hold. And, hold our hand through it all. It wasn't just like, figure it out. It was like very, it was good training. And so that's what I try to incorporate now when I work with volunteers and really empower them to get creative. And as my manager has once told me, the worst thing that can be said to you is a no. And so that's what I constantly like try to like engrave in volunteers. What about you? What's your journey? How did you get involved in like the nonprofit world in general?
Well, first of all, for me, I've done some volunteering here and there in different organizations. Some of them Muslim organizations, some of them just world care organizations and whatnot. But I never really found myself like committed to certain organizations or certain movements, only because sometimes you feel you get into this busy spot in your life and you're like, okay, I got to get all my ducks in a row first in order for me to find some time and whatnot. But this was more of a connection that I had when I was with part of another charity organization, and the brothers that were there moved on to Penny Appeal Canada into the positions there are now, and they sort of asked me to come along as well. And I've always wanted to find a way, because a lot of the stuff here I do in Toronto is more in the entertainment sector of things. So I do the in-house host for the Toronto Raptors team. I've done some radio stuff, I've done some voiceover things, but I've always wanted to find a way to connect closer to the Ummah, and whether that would be through volunteering or just being advisory or just being present in some way or shape or form. And so when I got this opportunity to do it, and the brothers that were part of this, they knew I've always wanted to find this connection, and they were like, this would be the opportune time to do so. And I just found that Penny Appeal Canada, like you mentioned, has like a totally different slant, understanding, directive, comfort, support system that I've seen in others. It also has a very youthful drive to it as well, too, which is quite important, because I know that some of the times some of the organizations have either had sort of a longer spended heritage of people that are in a, how do I be respectful? In an older way of thinking kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where you sort of want to connect both the ages and kind of close that gap.
Yeah.
That's what Penny Appeal does, and in particular with the volunteers as well too. So I'm not too sure how it is in North Carolina or across the USA for that matter, but we have the families, the mother and the sons. We have the aunts and the nephews, and I mean, and some of them are either really far in age, really close in age, but they're all either doing hampers and and just doing a whole lot of things together, which I guess also brings them together and strengthens their bond and ours as well too.
Right. Yeah, that's such an important point, because we have to differentiate what we call them here in the US is our college chapters versus our regional coordinators. And so you have your college chapters, who are those that are college level kids, who I once was, and they focus, they have their semester work plans, and they focus on, these certain things dependent on their schedule. And then you have your regional coordinators, which are those who are, like you mentioned, folks who have already graduated, who have a professional day job and are just looking to serve their communities in some way or another. And so we work with them as well, and how and figuring out, what on their schedule and their time, how they can serve their communities. A lot of regional coordinators are really focused on social service events. So we have our monthly social service events, thanks to them, all over the nation, in partnership with other mosques and other community centers. And I think that's just so beautiful about our organization as well, is like you were, to briefly kind of touch on what you were saying, is, we have kind of like this new generation rising that's here to present good in such a funky, fun way. There has always been, history has shown that poverty has always been depicted in like this very, like it's marketed in a depressing way that like isn't fair to the beneficiaries, right? Like we shouldn't be showing them in that way. We should be showing the benefits of, what our volunteers are doing and what our donors are doing to help these folks. And also, and while also recognizing what needs to be done, right? Not straying away from that. And so we've done a great job in doing that. And I think that's what attracts a lot of our volunteers and our donors, is how we present ourselves. While we are a Muslim-led organization. We are non-faith based, so we don't forget our cores, but we're here to serve all, because charity has no faith. And I think that's, what has really helped drive in all different ages of volunteers. So I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that as well too, because I find a lot of the times that when we do take a look at how easy it is to connect within and outside of our faith, it is because of that desire to fill those voids, regardless to where it lands. It doesn't have to be in a certain place, and also, volunteers in particular. If I move to that, volunteers are the foundation of every organization. I mean, it's probably the strongest foundation that you have, because these are people who are being paid in the currency of just
It's-
desire. You know what
yeah.
I mean? It has something to do with money. It has to do with them giving us their time, their effort, their diligence, and they're receiving only the benefit that the beneficiaries receive. And to that, I'm not too sure. I love our Team Orange group, and I think, and I'm not just talking about Canada. Like, I just love the concept and understanding of how our Team Orange group across Canada, states, overseas. It's a real. You get this confidence building whenever you see a Team Orange member, because I can say Team Orange now, and USA and Canada know exactly where we're at. We know what we do. We know what our focus is, and I
Right.
know we've a lot of questions out there as well too. Some people ask,
Right. Yeah.
um,
So, yeah,
yeah, you
go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So, we had someone ask, would you say your departments are one of the faster growing ones within your respective penny appeals? I think that ties in a lot with what you're talking about too. Um, so to make a point on that before answering this question is, well, or tying into this question is, I think, yeah, Team Orange is such a global in, initiative. It's such a, that we have even created like Team Orange LinkedIn pages for Team Orange all over, members all over the globe, to kind of connect with each other as a way to also allow for themselves to network. So I think I think volunteer department, like if we just look at our data, up till what, it's October, November, I just forgot it.
November.
The data within our system says that we've recruited over 100 volunteers just within this year. I'm sure that probably would have doubled, because we have COVID. It did play a huge pause on a lot of the events that were happening, and played kind of like a fallout too. I don't know if your department was affected a little bit with, not having a lot of presence at certain events, or especially in the beginning of the year. I think for us, it was still like fresh to folks. Now it's like, I hate to say it, becoming like the norm, quote unquote, is what a lot of people are referring to it as. And a lot of volunteers are like, okay, how can we get involved? How can we come out? How can we prepare for the year to come? And so that's exciting on our end. But I know, in USA, our volunteer department launched in 2020, and then COVID hit.
Yeah. And
So
you started in 2016?
I started my journey at Penny USA in 2016 as a development officer. And so at the time, which is kind of ties in with like your title as community engagement, we had to do event coordinating, community engagement, volunteer, engagement. And so as we grew as an organization, that's when we started to like break down departments, and, I took over.
Yeah, titles and responsibilities. And with us, I've been with the company a year, with the organization.
Okay. Think you froze on us, Mark. So while we wait for Mark to get his to unfreeze, because Canada's freezing right now. We can talk about this next question. What are some of the challenges when it comes to painting North America orange? So we briefly kind of talked on COVID. That was a huge challenge for me, I will say, because as I was briefly mentioning, our volunteer department launched in 2020. COVID hit in 2020. And so we've been able, despite COVID, that first year we were able to successfully fundraise over 100,000. That first main 100 being within, Ramadan. We've been able to still do social service events. Hello, welcome back.
I don't even know where I was in the middle of talking, and I had such a great piece, and I just dropped the mic, and then the
community engagement.
Yeah,
I was answering.
So sorry. What was the last thing I said?
How development ties in with, how community engagement ties in with volunteering.
Right. So basically, I was just also referring to the fact that you being able to have an actual community engagement pre-COVID. We just started our organization, was really built to move forward about 2.5, 3 years ago. So we kind of were on the cusp of going into COVID. So we didn't have a lot of personal and direct engagement. So we were very much virtual. We still found ways to make sure that, COVID didn't stop poverty. COVID didn't stop, people needing clothes and food and different things of that nature. So we still found ways to keep that engagement alive. It was quite the challenge, as every Team Orange member in America will know, but in Canada, we were like, it's really difficult to try and connect to Alberta and BC and different places, but we still managed, alhamdulillah, to still make that happen. And now that we're sort of coming out of that COVID, under that COVID yoke, and we're able to sort of make that connection, that engagement process is so much easier now, because everybody is so engaged and willing to want to do something. They've been doing it virtual. Now they can't wait to get out there. Yeah. So for volunteer coordination, I know that's an incredible job. So that title in itself got a lot of responsibility, but it also has a lot of, you get a lot of benefit yourself out of it, to see the volunteers, rising to dedication to things that they want to do.
Oh my gosh, definitely. Like, it's just so humbling to hear someone say, like, thank you for believing in us, or thank you for being patient with us. And that to me is probably one of, like, that's all I really want. Like, it's just, a lot of times what I'm so thankful for is that our organization has attracted those individuals who are, like, ridiculously creative in the mind, but just can't find someone to help them kind of, like, put that into, to execute that. And so having someone come up to me and be like, thank you for, like, allowing me to be me, is just amazing. Like, that is just what my leadership gave me under, Osama and past managers, that I made it my goal to give it back. And I think that's also ties in with kind of like our mission as Penny Appeal is, we're a family, we're Team Orange. And, I've noticed even, like, we started a trend that a lot of other organizations are using different colors or their color organizations to recognize their volunteers. And I'm like,
and it's true. You say that. Somebody even asked the question here about some of the challenges when it comes to painting North America orange, right? And that in itself is interesting, because I'm not too sure how it is in the US, but in Canada we have a penny mobile, right? So we got the orange joint that we're driving around, and it's pretty hard to miss, right?
Yeah.
And because it's so bright, in the color itself just breathes a vibrancy and an attraction to what is this and what is it about, and then it breeds a pride as well too. So it's not really hard on our end to paint North America orange, because it's because of the work we put in, and we're proud to put it out there as well. First, your volunteers in our Team Orange, we've had so many volunteers that are always giving different initiative suggestions and different partner suggestions and vendors and things of that nature, and things that they like to do, campaigns and whatnot. But to the point that we now have regional, we have leads as well too. So we have an East and West lead from within the volunteer. Do you find that that you find a lot of your volunteers coming up with new ideas, new suggestions, or are they just willing to just be part of what's next in Penny Appeal?
Yeah, that's a great question, because what most volunteers think is that they have to follow on to what is being given to them.
Right.
And that is something that I cannot emphasize enough. We have our rules, our policies and
Mhm.
procedures. And as long as we're maintaining that we're serving the humanitarian sector, then there is no right or wrong way to do things. And that's what I try to tell them. I'm not here to micromanage you. I'm here to empower you. And I was going to touch on this, Salha. That's coming up next.
That's so
Um,
funny.
so yeah, I think it's when they get when they have, like I was saying earlier, when they have someone who's like get creative, it's like all these amazing new ideas are starting to come out. Like we had one volunteer who worked as a makeup artist at, her local Sephora or something. And she was just
Mhm.
like, we opened our doors to the first Muslim-led domestic violence shelter in Charlotte, North Carolina a year ago.
That's all.
And she was just like, I don't know if this sounds crazy or not, but we have a lot of items at Sephora, makeup items, that I think would be really empowering for women. And I didn't know if I should act. And just a little hesitant about. I'm like, heck yeah, that's genius.
Yeah.
And together beauty kits for survivors in our shelter. And that's just a small
Something I
example
love.
of I'm like, heck yeah. And so after that, she just kept going crazy with the ideas. And I'm like, keep them coming, girl.
Yeah, and that's something I know
But
we
to
also.
touch on,
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. You're good.
I was just gonna say that I know that also falls into. I don't know if you answered this question when I fell off, but someone asked about our accomplishments, like one of our favorite accomplishments or most notable of the year so far, or our time at Penny Appeal in our group. Um, we will paint the continent orange. I'll tell you why Talha is saying that. Now, Talha is our CEO, right? Talha is saying that because he's like, yo, let's let these guys do it all the time. Believe me, I know that there's an undercurrent of, I get it, Talha, I appreciate it. But Ruann's amazing. But yeah, so I think for us, we did some amazing stuff when it came to like backpacks. We did 3,000 or more backpacks across Canada. I was in Alberta and in different places in Ottawa and in Toronto, Ontario, and whatnot. And we also had, as I was mentioning about virtual, we did a virtual cooking session with a celebrity chef, and the celebrity chef sort of sent in so we gave the families supplies for a month. And then we also gave them supplies for a dish that they could make that they probably never made before. It was sort of a chicken noodle kind of dish, whatever. But it's an incredible, not only food, but the actual practice to do it. There were so many kids that were like, I've never had a chance to sit down with my mom and do something together and then enjoy it together afterwards. Alhamdulillah, it just made it feel so like empowered, to empower them to do stuff is what I think is, as you mentioned earlier, this organization doesn't do hand downs or handouts. We try to make sure that when we are giving, that it's something that empowers them and has some sort of sustainability moving forward, which is incredible for us. So that was one of my proud moments, is to have that.
Yeah.
I'll work on it.
I mean, if he wants to volunteer his time, I just don't know if we want
Yeah,
to.
I'll text him.
I think something too that is constantly brought up to me, we talked about how there is no right or wrong way to volunteering, but there are certain things that Penny Appeal USA and Canada can't offer to our volunteers. And that's, for example, going overseas and seeing the projects, right? And so a lot of times we get constant questions from volunteers of like, can we go overseas and see the projects and this, that, and the third. And I totally get that. Like, that's something that we all in undergrad wanted to do. And while there are other organizations that do offer that, Penny Appeal does not currently. Doesn't mean long term we won't start to do something like that. But a lot of ways that I have tried to allow volunteers to see the fruits of their labor, whether from like fundraising, for example, is we take the funds that they fundraise and we put it towards the project of their choice, one, but we also make sure that they're seeing it. So let's say, for example, it's a domestic, they fundraise for like our Education First program.
Mhm.
And we're going to take that funds and we're going to put it towards a program domestically in Education First so that they can see the fruits of their labor. And for example, the back to school with that you briefly mentioned is like a great example of that. If it's overseas, like we had like thirst relief, for example, then, we break down, of course, how long it takes for wells to be built and to be accomplished. And we put the funds towards that. And we make sure that we're updating them as we are donors in general, following our normal routine of updates and transparency and assuring them that, until it gets to the result of like the fruits of their labor. And so, I think that's something also so important that I've learned as a volunteer coordinator is volunteers just want to help serve, but they also want to see the change that they're doing. And so we try our best to give them that while also respecting and maintaining the privacy of our beneficiaries. And then, we have, this is also something like, for example, I've had a computer scientist ask me, how can I volunteer in the nonprofit sector?
Mm.
Well, there are so many ways you can volunteer, engineers, doctors, so many ways. And if we don't have the skill or the place for you, then I lead them to another nonprofit because that's what we're all here to do. And that's what Penny Appeal stands for, is
Mhm.
helping each other out, helping our communities out. So, for example, a computer scientist, we have a digital divide program, or even like, hosting online free coding or something, something off the top, something that has to do with like computer, helping your local refugees. Don't shy away from your skills because they can always be used for good. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out to organizations and ask us about, how are the ways you can get involved. So this question we actually just answered.
Yeah.
So
I
you
do
want
know as well too. We do a lot of we do reverse volunteer efforts as well too. So it's sort of like going to whether it be another organization that needs our help as well too, that is pretty much in the same lane and profile that we are as well too. We love to be part of that. We love to spread the Team Orange love. We love to be because this is, as much as we have our own direction and want to make sure that we are channeling everything in the right ways, we know others are putting in serious effort as well too. And this is there's one thing I'm really proud of as well for Penny Appeal, is that it is not a competitive natured charity. I'm not slighting any other charity. I'm just saying that I know that this is what we are not. So I'm happy that that's what we do. How did you get a basketball team to collab with Penny Appeal Canada? That was another incredible initiative that has been in the works for a while, but we went through different connections we had through the Raptors and also their G League team. We've done some Muslim faith nights as well. Um, and I do know that for this one, we're in collaboration with Pascal Siakam and Fred Van Vliet of the Toronto Raptors. So with Fred, we did some backpacks. We did 1,000 backpacks for schools. He went to one of the schools as well too to go and speak to the kids. For Pascal Siakam, he has an incredible computer coding program so that kids, because as we know, coding is the future, and this is something that from young it'd be so important for them to get on top of now. So he supplied not only computers for two schools, students in two schools that were able to do a program, but they were also, once they did the coding program, they were the end result was to have like a like to build a website or build a segment of a website, and that has been put on. That will be put onto Pascal's website. So that's they were really vying to be the person to do that. And now this year we have a second cohort where they're also getting another like 150 kids will be doing the same thing. So yearly we'll be doing some computers out to kids. And afterwards, they keep the computers. It's not like they do the program and they give back the computers. Those are theirs for life. And these are obviously in different, underserved areas, underprivileged areas, but lower income areas that would probably never have a chance and opportunity to do so. And the Raptors themselves found it trusting enough with everything that we have done in our due diligence to make sure that we're up and up, that we're transparent, that we're strong in our conviction in how we do things, that pairing up with us was great. And it had nothing to do with the fact that I work for the Raptors. It was just sort of like, I mean, you know, I didn't make any connections. I was just sort of there.
They saw, I mean, well, they saw the work that you do and they saw the cause, they believed
Like,
in it, and they
yeah.
signed up. And I think that's really important. I guess to like summarize that, I just like ask or just work. And like people really see the fruits of our labor. Like, you know, like you mentioned, it's just when we're out here hustling, when we're out here building a community, not tearing each other up,
Right.
that's what attracts that good positive energy. And like, you know, that's what we try to maintain within our volunteer department is how can we work to support each other and other organizations and other communities. I think the last advice I can say to volunteers is if you're looking to make a change in your community, if you're wow, we're gonna go into all this basketball
It's
conversation.
funny. It's funny. We're
Um,
playing the Cavs this Friday, and it's funny
mhm,
that they mentioned that we're playing the Cavs this Friday, and this Friday is at the Raptors game. There's is a sort of an underlying theme of a Muslim faith night, and we were hoping that Taco Fall, who is he's on a two-way contract with the Cavs, so he might be here for the game, and he is. He will be doing part of an after-game panel talk to the Muslims that we are sort of providing tickets out to this Friday. So if that does happen, and I happen to talk to Taco, I'll try and get it out to whoever it is that wants, the Cavs to get involved with Penny Appeal USA, as long as I get some credit. No, I'm just kidding. I'll just figure out what happens and see if I can make it happen. Be cool.
right.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
No,
Um,
for
I
sure,
know
for
that
sure. We definitely need to do some like meeting at the border with our
we
volunteers,
gotta,
like
we gotta collaborate, man. Like we gotta collaborate, and we're gonna do it. And I want to do it well before it gets too cold and snowy.
I think
So
it's too late for that.
I know. But I know that Thella was mentioning some sort of a challenge for Penny
Yeah,
USA, Penny Appeal Canada. I mean, we're up for it. Whatever it is you guys want to do, we're down.
yeah.
And maybe we'll get our volunteers to make some suggestions.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. That's what we're here to support them. So I guess and wrap up, Mark, do you have anything to say? Maybe any last advice on like getting involved in the nonprofit sector? Like, for example, what you studied and whatnot.
Well, I'm one of those guys that was never really heavy on any sort of book quality sense. I'm
Okay.
a very personable person. I'm a very reality based person in that sense, where book sense was not something for me. I did as much as I needed to in order
Right.
to get where I needed to go, and then I moved with every single piece of education of people, religion, travel, faith, spirituality. That was my educational move, and I find a lot of people in our volunteer base as well. We have those different levels,
Yeah.
and that's the center. Whether you have like high book sense or you don't really, the center of it is really is faith is not only your faith but just the spirit in which you want to do things. So I would just recommend for anybody out there, Penny Appeal USA and Canada, if it's something that you've always wanted to do, I think this would probably be the best first experience in an
Nice.
organization. You know what I mean? Because you go into organization, you might have as well too gone to some charities, and you kind of like you see certain things, or you feel a certain way, or something. This is nobody's perfect. Although we know that we all have things that we have to work on, but this is the most comfortable I've been in being introduced to the mechanics and the understanding and the focus of a charity organization. So I would definitely go to try to become part of Team Orange in any way, shape, or form, and give us your ideas, because we at Canada need something to challenge USA for this Penny Appeal Challenge. I can't wait.
Oh man.
Yes.
I mean, that's amazing. It's very beautifully said. It's very perfectly said as well. The best way to get involved in the nonprofit world is by volunteering your time, showing that you want to be in it, just to serve. So, all in all, I guess we will wrap up because we don't want to keep you guys up too late.
Right.
Um,
I will say this though. Ruann said that we will be done in 36 minutes. We're at 35:40. That's what I'm talking about. That's teamwork all day. That's awesome. But I really thank you very much. You have some incredible energy out there, and it looks like you're doing awesome work as well. And I can't wait to make some more real serious connections with Penny Appeal USA, yourself in North Carolina, all that stuff. I can't wait.
Thank you, Mark, so much. It's been amazing, team tagging this with you. To all our volunteers who are watching, whether in Canada or the USA, you guys know where to sign up to get involved. Visit pausa.org/volunteer to sign up, or
pennyappeal.ca/TeamOrange and get in there. I want to see you guys at the next event for sure, inshallah. Well, alaikum to everyone, and thank you very much, Ruann, as well too. We'll see you at the next one because Talha is going to make sure we do it again. So it is
amazing. So, alaikum, guys. Have a good night.